there is a responsibility on my shoulders to help my friends on their way in a spiritual sense.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring them or push them or prod them, whatever terminology you want to use, because they're my friends and their spiritual destiny and their spiritual journey is important to me.
Yeah.
Right? Now this sounds funny what I'm going to say. We don't do that.
No.
We go, oh, Steve's spirituality, that's his own issue. Now we can talk football, we can talk any, but like to say to Steve, like, well, tell me how you're praying, because my prayer life sucks.
Yeah.
Like, that's not conversations we have lots.
No.
Help us with that.
So I think a part of that is actually, it comes out of our own brokenness, or as Henry Nouwen calls it, our woundedness. We're lonely. Okay, it's part of who we are. Now, you can actually see that both sides of the fall. Okay, so you got Adam, who's perfect in creation.
Yeah.
And yet God, his creator, looks at him and says, it's not good for man to be alone. So we're not making it a negative thing, that aloneness and loneliness is part of our existence. Then you have the dysfunction that enters into the relational story after the fall, where then people are fragmented and broken relationally. So I think somewhere in the mix of that, you have to realize that we enter into every friendship as fallen, broken people. That impacts how we do friendship. And part of what I think that it leads to is fear, in that we're seeking friendship, we desire it, we long for it. We don't want to mess it up when we get it. And so, well, Peter, will you still be my friend if I say to you, here's something I see in your life that I just don't see God in? Like, I want to challenge you on something. Like, the fear is that you say, well, then I don't want to be your friend anymore. So I think that is really why we then have retreated to then this, like, space. We're quite shallow in our friendships. Like, I talk about this all the time. I can't remember the last time I was walking deeply enough with someone that I called them out on something, or that someone was walking deeply enough with me that they were able to call that out of me. And that's a really worrying thing.
Yeah. In my work in spiritual direction, the Celts were very big in Celtic spirituality. They're very big on spiritual friends.
They are.
Right.
The Anam Cara.
Yeah, there you go. I was going to say that, but I thought I wouldn't impress anybody, but I would have impressed you.
You would, absolutely.
I see our culture, almost void of that.
Yes.
Almost void.
Absolutely. And I think a few things are critical, and probably I would say the priority is permission. Right?
Okay.
And that's where the whole thing, you can't do this with tons and tons of people. And we see this Jesus model was 3 and 12, and then beyond that there was lots of hangers-oners and people along for the journey and the ride, but you can only walk deeply with a certain amount of people. And then I think there has to be a mutuality in it. I think that's, you asked me at the start, what are some of the practical ways that I can grow and be better at friendship? One of the things that I talk about with my own congregation is almost being willing to formalize friendship. Okay. That sounds like a really crazy thing to do, but actually for millennia the church did that. So, it really morphed out after the Reformation, but still a part of Orthodoxy and the Greek Orthodox, Russian Orthodox, where friends choose to sanctify their friendship before the church.
Wow.
They actually,
that's good.
They intentionally say, we're going to be brothers, and we understand the purpose of our brotherhood. While there's going to be mutuality in it, there's going to be mutual gain, we're going to have some fun. Like, you and I laugh a lot when we're together. But ultimately, the priority is we're going to grow close to Jesus and be shaped and formed by Jesus. So we're committing to that. Now, I say you don't need to have a church service to formalize your friendship, but you might want to text someone that you see that and say, hey, would you be willing to walk deeply with me? And could we just be serious about that and move beyond talking about hockey and football and all that stuff to maybe talking about how we're doing in our lives?
I remember having a conversation with my elder board once, and I said to them, you people need to understand something. That if I'm doing something really stupid, it's not my fault. It's your fault because you didn't tell me. Because if I knew it was stupid, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing something inappropriate or ridiculous, it's not because I'm doing that intentionally. So your responsibility is to tell me.
Absolutely. It's having friends that cover your blind spots.
Yeah.
Of which we all have many.
Yeah.
And and that requires lots of things: trust and mutuality and permission and grace and lots of patience and all that stuff. But it's ultimately how we see Jesus model friendship.
Yeah.
And I think that's who we are. We're the Jesus people, and so we should seek to be like him, even in practicing and living out our faith. Now, can I just say one thing? Because I know we're getting towards the end of our time. One of the most practical ways that I see around engaging friendship, back to that whole companion thing, is the eating together piece. And I would say, like, that's two resources or two things to really dig a little bit deeper onto this, is like looking at how can you use the resources at your disposal to deepen friendship. When you can, eat with people. There's something holy and beautiful about sitting around a table together and doing life together. But if you're trying to do that with 30 people, it's not going to work. But imagine doing that with 6 people consistently over 1 year, 2 year, 3 years. That's when friendship really forms and does its good work. Another thing I think it's important to say is that men and women do it differently. Okay. And so women do really beautiful work sitting across a coffee table together. That's when they do life looking into each other's eyes. Mm-hmm. And so that's a great encouragement to your women. Keep doing that. Men, not so much.
Okay.
Men do better side by side.
Okay.
So actually, the men in the church are going to love me for this, but this is why I encourage men to go out and play golf, because they're going to sit side by side in a golf buggy with someone for 18 holes, or go build a wall together, or build a barn. But men grow side by side. Women tend to grow across a table. Okay, and so that's just something to consider. Men sit across a table, they get a little awkward. It's just the way it is. But give them something to do while they're side by side, they grow deeper.
Let me do something really quick before we run out of time. A person looks back on their childhood, they look back in their teen years, and they had very few friends. And so they were plagued with loneliness. They come into, and then they come into faith. They start following Christ. They come into a body of believers. So now they're 25, 30, 40, whatever. But they've got this cursed foundation, strong term, but cursed foundation of loneliness that has so impacted them. It's like they're scared of their own shadow.
Yeah.
Speak to somebody whose life is that.
Yeah, I mean, I think friendship is a little bit like a muscle as well, and that's relevant to me because I've broken my ankle and I'm having to learn to walk again, and I've got one solid calf muscle and one peg leg. I look like a pirate and walk like a pirate, and because it's atrophied so much. And so I think one of the things that needs to happen is the church community themselves need to understand, here's someone, we're all lonely, right? But some of us have had a lot more opportunity in the kind of weight room of life to flex that muscle. And so our social skills are a little bit more fine-tuned. We're a bit more robust in our ability to engage with others and not take things the wrong way, we just know some of the softer skills of engaging with each other. You're someone who has experienced immense loneliness. You haven't had friends. The fear, all of those things. All of a sudden, you're in. I think the onus is probably somewhat on the larger group with the stronger muscle. Okay. To pay attention to that person and to begin to be that group of people who can be deepening, particularizing, hospitality, right? Like patient. You just see that's where the model of Jesus is really relevant. That's hard. Because what if their social skills are really, really, not there at all? And I think that's where then, it's great when a big group of church people can come around someone like that. But ultimately, it's as churches find those 2 or 3 people who have that heart for that, one lost sheep who do a beautiful job of going, you don't need to have 12 friends. You need to have 1 or 2 and learn friendship in that space.
So there's a responsibility upon the body to look for those people and care for them.
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. And knowing that they're all flawed and broken and trying to figure this out as well.
Wow. You've been excellent.
I had a lot of fun. Thanks for letting me talk about something that I'm really passionate about.
Yeah. And it's funny because, I thought of doing this series. Then I said, Steve McCraney did his doctorate in this stuff. I'm going to get him here.
Yeah.
And,
and it was so helpful for me personally, at 41 years of age, to realize I have still so much to learn and grow in this space. But this is this is going to change the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Because I've realized my limitations. As much as I would love to be friends with everybody that I know, I can't. And so just to let go of that, so much freedom. And then to go, okay, so the people that I am journeying with, I'm going to go after that, go seriously into that. And what sort of follower of Christ will I be 10 years from now? Yeah. Having allowed those 5 or 6 people to help shape and form my life. Imagine then if we all began to think in that way.
Thanks for tuning in for Friends. See you next time on Friends.